They are known as ruthless hunters and vicious killers. Creatures so deadly that human encounters only seem possible from within some protective casing. 30 species of sharks have been known to attack humans, so it's not surprising that we respond with an uneasy mixture of fear and admiration. But fear is not what stops us from learning more about sharks. Many species lead secret lives in some of the remotest corners of the oceans. Sharks remain among the great mysteries of the natural world. It is summer in the Arctic Circle. Somewhere in the waters beneath these icy mountains lives the Greenland shark, an animal that has never been filmed alive. With conditions worsening, time is running out for a film crew and its Inuit guides hoping to capture the first images of this elusive creature. All they can do for now is shore up their shelters. Underwater photographers Nick Kalianis and Clarita Berger are forced to wait out yet another Arctic squall before making one last dive. But still, the weather won't let up.
We've got 24 hours left, 22 and a half hours of daylight.
Their guides are forced to leave to protect their boats.
One really big problem, the guides took off last night, so we're here alone.
Then suddenly the weather breaks, long enough to get below the surface.
I had been diving over 2 hours in the icy 29-degree water when from 50 feet away, I saw a large animal. I thought it was a narwhal without a tusk, but as I approached, the animal turned. And I realized I was eye to eye with a Greenland shark. Its interest now was diverted to me. My brain clicked in, and I was remembering the diet of this species, including small whales and seals. I felt like lunch for this supposed lethargic lunge feeder. Would it suddenly gulp me down? I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I thrust the big camera out and bumped him in the nose a few times. I started to backpedal nervously towards the surface. And luckily for me, the shark became disinterested and went back to the easier prey.
Though this remarkable footage may answer questions scientists have pondered for years, it raises many more that will take years to solve. Oceans cover 70% of the planet's surface. They hold more than 20,000 known species of fish and countless other forms of marine life. Of all these creatures, a unique 370 species are among the top links of the food chain. They are the sharks. Some of these sharks make their home on the sea floor, while others cruise the upper regions of the oceans. But all of them are crucial in maintaining the delicate balance of ocean ecosystems by continually weeding out weaker or injured creatures. Working with the precision of a finely tuned early warning system, each of a shark's senses locks on as it approaches its prey. With well-developed inner ears, sharks can pick up sounds from up to 1,700 yards away. Sound actually travels better and further in water than air. And experiments have shown that sharks are particularly attracted to lower frequency sounds, like the ones made by this speaker. Irregular vibrations with frequencies at or below 40 hertz incite a frenzy among these gathering sharks. Not surprisingly, that's the same frequency and sound pattern emitted by a wounded fish. As the shark closes within a few hundred yards of its eventual meal, the sense of smell takes over and guides it ever closer. Sharks pick up a scent in much the same way as dogs, by moving back and forth to stay on the trail. A shark is capable of picking up a single molecule of blood in over 1 million molecules of water. The apparatus responsible for smell is located in 2 nostrils near the front of the snout. As the shark swims, odor-laden water is forced into its nostrils and over delicate sensory tissue. From about 100 yards, sharks can begin to detect even the faintest vibrations created by the movements of struggling fish. These vibrations are picked up by very sensitive fluid-filled canals called lateral lines, which run under the skin. Lining the canals are tiny hair-like receptors which are especially attuned to the kinds of vibrations made by wounded prey. At around 30 yards, the hunter can literally set its sights on the hunted. The size and shape of shark eyes tends to depend on where the shark lives. Sharks that feed in shallow waters usually have smaller eyes because they have more light to deal with, while sharks that swim in deeper water tend to have larger eyes. Some sharks also have an eyelid called a nictitating membrane that closes to protect the eye while the shark bites its prey. By the time a shark gets within 6 feet, it can even detect prey that is hidden from view. It does this with sensory organs known as the ampullae of Lorenzini. Connected by pores located on the snout and head, these jelly-filled sacs are capable of detecting electrical fields as well as the direction they are coming from. These fields can even emanate from a tiny open wound or an animal buried in the sand, and can be as weak as 100 millionth of a volt. Any one of a shark's highly tuned senses is capable of leading it to its prey, but when they're all used together, the outcome is usually deadly. Sharks' teeth and jaws are awe-inspiring weapons. Many can extend their jaws forward to snatch their prey in a single movement. Shark teeth are varied in their design and purpose, depending on the food source. The serrated and hooked teeth of a tiger shark are highly efficient shearing and tearing tools. Some teeth, like those of the Port Jackson shark, are designed for crushing shellfish, which it finds among the rich kelp grounds in Australian waters. The teeth of the Greenland shark are so sharp that they were once used by Eskimos as tools for cutting hair. The woebegone uses its angled teeth and lightning-fast lunge feeding technique to grasp its prey. Sharks lose teeth continuously throughout their lives. To replace them, some have as many as 15 rows of teeth folded back into the tissue of the jaw. In some sharks, as many as 6,000 razor-sharp teeth are lost and replaced every year. Lost teeth are replaced by others that can rotate into the frontal position, sometimes within 24 hours. The actual bite strength of sharks has intrigued scientists for years. The record to date from experiments like these is some 42,000 pounds per square inch, which surprisingly is not that much stronger than a human bite. The difference is we don't have the deadly razored edges of sharks' teeth. What sharks choose to bite ranges from the predictable to the bizarre. One shark known to eat almost anything in its path is the tiger shark. Stomach contents have included a pair of tennis shoes, medieval armor, nuts and bolts, a tin can, a life jacket, and an ammunition shell. Nurse sharks, on the other hand, are adapted to a much more specialized diet. They have sensory organs called barbels, which act as feelers while they root through the sand for food. Nurse sharks cruise the sea floor for their staple diet, which includes shellfish like conch. To get to the meat, the nurse shark first rolls over the conch with a forceful jet of water, exposing the small opening on the underside of its tough shell. Then, using a suction action equal to the power of 12 vacuum cleaners, the shark rips out the tender flesh from inside the shell. Other shellfish, like lobster, require a different strategy. Continual bumping keeps the lobster off balance until finally its strength is gone. The shark grabs the exhausted lobster and slams it into the sea floor, severing its meaty tail from the rest of its body. The largest fish in the oceans is also the most gentle of sharks. The whale shark can grow to over 50 feet and weigh more than 20 tons. And yet it feeds on some of the smallest of sea creatures. So-called filter feeders take in water through their mouths, filtering it through their gills at a rate of 250,000 gallons an hour, and straining out tiny organisms called plankton, along with small fish and shrimp. A close encounter with a whale shark is a rare and thrilling event. But our fascination is beginning to include other and more dangerous sharks.
What you're going to see down there today are Caribbean reef shark, black tips, nurse sharks, definitely as a core population. But if they come by...
Here at Walker's Cay in the Bahamas, Gary Atkinson prepares his divers for an experience they won't soon forget: swimming with the sharks.
Photographers, you need to wear gloves, especially you white people. you look like squid, you look like fish belly, it's your curse, okay? Your white hand on those black handles thrust out there can be an attractant. That's why we ask that nobody wear any white on the dive, okay? No white t-shirts, no white gloves, okay? No white. Those of you with white fins, all right, guys, let's go diving.
Whether they're motivated by thrill-seeking or simple curiosity, these tourists are about to get a new insight into sharks.
Once you're down in the sand, stay put. Remember, guys, that these sharks are wild animals. This isn't a Disney World attraction.
Divers here have found that certain sharks accept baited food, even though these reef sharks are quite capable of attacking humans. Sharks have a price on their heads, but the reward of up to $1,000 a carcass is far below their dollar value alive. It's estimated that each live shark brings the Bahamian economy as much as $250,000 tourist dollars each year. It's on dives like these that we've come to learn some of the more intriguing behaviors of sharks. A very peculiar thing happens when some sharks are turned over. Scientists call it tonic immobility. It's a state of sensory overstimulation that in sharks induces a relaxed, sleep-like state. This growing understanding of present-day sharks will give us more insights into their past. With little evidence preserved from their boneless ancestors, today's sharks are studied as living fossils, adding bits and pieces to the story of how sharks evolved. The first sharks appeared in the oceans around 400 million years ago, but they bore little resemblance to the ones that inhabit the seas today. Edestus giganteus grew to a size as large as today's great white and had a set of gigantic, scissor-like jaws. The helicoprion had teeth that were generated in a whorl and designed for crushing hard shells. Why these specialized sharks became extinct is a mystery. A close relative of today's great white, but twice its size, Carcharodon megalodon, was perhaps the largest of all predatory fish. It became extinct between 1 and 3 million years ago, but it's still regarded as a modern shark. Modern sharks began their rise to dominance late in the age of the dinosaurs, some 140 million years ago. At the same time, another group branched off, evolving into the rays and skates of today. Some rays, like this guitar fish, still look a little like sharks. Others don't at all. The sawfish has evolved a long, tooth-studded rostrum, which it uses like a powerful baseball bat to impale its prey with deadly accuracy. Though they've changed a lot in 400 million years, sharks were obviously an evolutionary hit. Today, any shark with more than 5 pairs of gills is thought to be a more ancient species. So these 7-gill sharks are very much a link to the past. Deep-water sharks can only be seen in their natural habitat when glimpsed from submersibles like the Johnson Sea Link, diving off ocean cliffs near the Bahamas. Reflective eyes in a dark shadow give away the presence of a 6-gill shark. Diving 2,000 feet to the ocean floor, the pressurized submersible catches Oxynotus caribbeus in its lights. This first sight of a live specimen caught on film reveals a huge sail-like dorsal fin and a body design quite different from the usual sleek contours of sharks. But even rarer is the goblin shark. Once thought to be extinct, only 36 have been found since their discovery in 1898. Few have ever been seen alive. The goblin's strange beak-like snout overhanging its jaw is probably used for detecting prey in the ocean depths. Among the sharks that live in shallow waters, the southern cat shark is an evolutionary oddity. It glides through the water with sinuous movements that are more reminiscent of a snake than a shark. Even stranger is the epaulette shark. It uses its fins in an action that is unique among sharks. to walk along the sea floor. Some sharks, like the wobbegong, have evolved body patterns that act as a convincing disguise. Also referred to as the swimming carpet, the wobbegong blends into the kelp beds around the Australian coast. Fleshy tendrils act as camouflage and help detect the slightest movement. Anything that gets too close is snapped up in a blur of action. Table manners are just about non-existent here. The tiger shark, a fierce hunter, has body patterns that mimic the rippling shadows of water. But while camouflage may enable it to get within striking distance of its prey, this turtle evades an attack by keeping its back to the shark to shield its soft underside. Mating behavior among sharks remains one of the great unknowns. It is only in the shallow waters off southern Florida that mating has ever been filmed in detail. Nurse sharks gather here for some violent-looking courtship. This is unique footage of what scientists think is cooperative behavior by young males. They have pinned down a female by biting down on her pectoral fins. The male on the left leaves, and the female now signals her willingness to mate with the remaining male. But the young male is unable to complete what he started. Nurse sharks must pump water through their mouths and over their gills to breathe. So securing a female's fin means the young male is being denied oxygen. Exhausted, he gives up and greedily pumps water over his gills. The pectoral fins of this female bear the many scars of previous mating attempts. Sometimes a female will be mated so many times that she will be too full and expels some of the male's sperm in a rope-like mass. Most sharks mature very slowly, taking 15 to 20 years to reach full sexual maturity. Male sharks have two claspers extending from the pelvic fins that are used to transfer semen into the female. A female shark has an opening called a cloaca between her two pelvic fins.
And 11:15, it's over. 11:13, it started.
Second wind of the day, which makes it probably 76. A right grasp, two sharks, two tagged sharks.
Biologists Jeff Carrier and Wes Pratt are tagging and numbering sharks in order to do what's never been done before: study the mating habits of sharks in the wild. With the help of other researchers, they carry out the dangerous task of netting sharks. Pratt and Carrier are eager to find out how successful the nurse sharks are at mating. DNA from these blood samples will be matched with those of juveniles and newly born pups, giving the scientists some clues to which sharks are the successful breeders. Finally, a large male grabs a female and pushes her away from the shallows. She does not resist. The slightly deeper water will help float her body, making copulation easier. The female's pelvic fins are cupped, pointing upwards, a sign of acceptance. The mating itself is an exotic and seemingly brutal dance, but only lasts a few minutes. Gestation in nurse sharks can take up to a year. Unlike bony fish, which can produce millions of small, unprotected eggs, sharks and their cousins produce fewer but larger eggs internally. About 30% of shark species are born from a fertilized egg sac. The egg is deposited on the ocean floor, a strong, leathery casing giving shelter to the growing embryo. During late summer and early fall, the tide brings in the egg casings of a close relative of sharks, the skates. These casings are known as mermaids' purses. Exactly as with a shark embryo, the large egg yolk serves as food. In later stages, the tail continually fans water to circulate oxygen. Its gills soon become visible on the underside of the body. At 11.5 weeks, the growing body has taken on the more distinctive form of its parents. Angel sharks are among those that give live birth to pups that have already hatched inside the mother. Here, a 6-foot-long angel shark gets a helping hand as it gives birth to its live offspring. Like other young sharks, this newborn will receive no parental care. Nurse sharks are born in the same way. This pup is barely 2 weeks old and still has its newborn spots. During the next few weeks and months, it is at its most vulnerable and will stay close to the bottom where its spots will offer some camouflage from predators, including other sharks. Although sharks are boneless, they are still heavier than seawater and must swim to avoid sinking. Bony fish have air bladders to help make them buoyant, but sharks rely instead on enlarged livers. These livers are filled with as much as 18 gallons of an oil that's lighter than seawater, which along with their fins gives them lift. Sharks which range across the open seas have large livers compared with their body size. Bottom-dwelling sharks have smaller livers because they don't need to travel as far off the sea floor. The only shark that uses air for additional buoyancy is the sand tiger, which gulps air to allow it to hover. A swimming shark is very much like a well-designed aircraft in flight. Roll stabilization and attitude control comes from coordinated movements of the dorsal and pectoral fins. But because of their streamlining, sharks' pectoral fins are less flexible and don't rotate like those of a bony fish. Fish can reverse, sharks cannot. Instead, they have to fall away from obstacles. Sharks are infamous for their menacing front teeth, but actually, the shark's whole body is covered with thousands of tiny teeth. They are called dermal denticles, or skin teeth. They are pointed backwards to smooth the flow of water over the body and reduce drag, which in turn helps to increase speed. But it is the shark's tails that control speed. And these are designed to suit the shark's way of life. Bottom-feeding or benthic sharks feed on slow-moving prey. Their tails are designed to give them more stability than speed. Unlike the tails of open water or pelagic sharks, such as the great white, which are designed for great bursts of speed and power to catch fast-moving prey. One of the most powerful swimmers is the hammerhead. Located at each side of its anvil-shaped head is an eye, a nostril, and sensory organs which help them to steer and to detect prey more easily. Hammerheads are known to form schools of up to 200 sharks around undersea volcanic peaks. Most fish school for protection, but the hammerheads have no natural enemies. So what are they doing here? It's from these volcanic peaks that the sharks travel out at dusk to feed, returning at dawn. The hammerheads often travel along fixed paths, which seem to correspond to where lava has seeped through the sea floor, creating magnetic fields. They may be using their widely spaced ampullae of Lorenzini to aid in scanning for these magnetic highways. Some shark species are known to range over huge distances. Blue sharks, for example, travel thousands of miles. Females have been recorded crossing the Atlantic to give birth to their young. The current long-distance record is held by a blue shark tagged off New York and recaptured 3,740 miles away off the South American coast. The effort to discover more about shark migration has brought together scientists and enthusiasts. Tagging sharks can be dangerous. So to learn how to do this correctly, dive operator Gary Adkisson has enlisted the help of shark biologist Wes Pratt.
This is our standard project tag, and we put we find the latex for diver observation works a lot better. It can be seen a lot further. And I think you saw that today.
Oh, it really jumps out, absolutely. Yeah. We want to more or less control or have an idea, a sense about how many are coming and going. I know we do an ebb and flow of numbers, but the numbers stay fairly constant. We're getting new guys and old guys are leaving. We want to know where they're going, if they're coming back. Just start tracking some of these guys. I think it may be valuable information to you as well as to us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
By tagging and recapturing sharks, we can learn where they go, find out how long they live, and keep track of their reproduction and health. They may be successful predators, but sharks are vulnerable. Their numbers are dwindling in many ocean habitats, and this could set off a series of chain reactions in the marine ecosystem. If shark numbers fall dramatically, populations like the sea lions around the Australian coast may well explode. The sea lion's food supply of crustaceans and small fish would soon be dangerously depleted if the sea lion population itself were not kept in check. But sea lions remain prime targets for sharks like the great whites. The great white's appetite for prey like sea lions may indirectly lead to their downfall in the waters around Australia. Many of Australia's beaches are surrounded by nets designed to deter shark attacks on people. Viewed from underwater, it's not difficult to imagine why sharks like the great white might mistake a human for a sea lion. Shark attacks on humans are often a case of mistaken identity. No one knows better the exact feeling and power of a great white shark attack than Rodney Fox. At the age of 23, he was attacked by a great white while spearfishing. His art gallery in Adelaide is a testament to his fascination for the species that nearly tore him apart more than 30 years ago. Bleeding profusely, it took 462 stitches to put him back together.
This is the size of the shark that got me in 1963. It's about a 10-footer and only quite a juvenile shark. Whereas over here on the wall, you've got a much, much larger shark, a 17-footer, which, if that one had grabbed hold of me, it would have easily torn me in half.
His violent close encounter left Rodney Fox with lasting physical scars and a strong desire to understand this ferocious but magnificent animal. Today, he loves to meet with his powerful friends. For years, Rodney Fox has been bringing tourists and photographers to witness the great white up close.
The interesting thing about the great white shark is that each one has its own personality. There are some that just race right in and grab hold of the bait and eat it immediately. There are some that are shy. I had a 17-foot great white shark come in and gently take a tuna out of my hand with such gentle movements that you couldn't believe this from the monster that it was.
Rodney Fox knows better than anyone how and where to find the great white shark.
We feed these tuna here to the sharks in bite-sized pieces, and we don't want to fill them up too fast if they come around the boat. Now we'll just put this balloon and hang it out of the back over the stern of the boat. And now for some delicious stew. This little mixture here is minced up tuna with some extra tuna oil added to add an odor corridor. As the tide goes along, it'll take pieces of the meat away as we slowly do it, and the oil, and make a track for the sharks. When they hit it, they'll know, because they know which way the tide is running. They'll come all the way back to the boat.
But this time, his tried and tested methods don't seem to be working. He dives to get a better look. But the answer is no different below than above. There are no sharks.
This is the 8th day that we've been out in all my favorite spots. I don't think that at this time there are very many sharks around here. They must be off to a better restaurant somewhere else. Either that, or they're being killed faster than we like to think about.
It's becoming almost a rarity these days to see great white sharks in waters that were once famous for having some of the largest populations in the world. And while some sharks seem to be disappearing, we're still having our first encounters with other shark species, like the prehistoric-looking Greenland shark. This first ever footage reveals details of an animal that puzzles researchers. The gill slits on this female are slung unusually low, but why? These crescent-shaped markings may be the bite marks left by an amorous male. Could these parasites dangling from its eye help lure prey closer to its razor-lined mouth? As we come to know this and other sharks better, we find there are still more questions than answers. We do know that sharks can be cunning, ferocious, even comical, but they certainly don't deserve their reputation for mindless evil. Sharks have been swimming the oceans for over 400 million years. They survived the extinction of dinosaurs and will probably be here long after we're gone.